Hey y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden. And even though we're in December, I still have some gardening to do. In the front yard today, we're going to be planting allium and iris bulbs, and we're going to be topping them with beautiful penny blue violas. So I am in Zone 8A, or apparently it's been changed to Zone 8B. I'm in this particular zone, and right now it's still pretty warm in December, and we can still continue planting. And so one of the things I like to do is I like to do a lot of layered planting by planting in bulbs and then topping them with winter annuals. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to be planting some beautiful Dutch iris, which I absolutely love for cut flowers, and I'm going to be trying a new variety of alliums, and then I'm going to be topping them with the most beautiful blue, like cobalt, vibrant blue violas. Let's get started. Okay, so here's my front area, and had a lot of coleus right here that was planted up in here that did wonderfully up until, of course, the freeze that we had. Which is typical. Coleus doesn't make it through that kind of weather. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm just uprooting some of the coleus right now. Now, typically I would just cut these and leave the roots in the ground. But since I am wanting to add in some bulbs to this area, by pulling this up, it's actually loosening the earth a little bit for me, which will make it a little bit easier when I am planting. This is the coleus that I took a bunch of cuttings from, which I'll have an update video on that soon. That's going really well. The cuttings went great. Okay, and even though I'm not working in this exact area right here, I'm going to go ahead and pull these up. I might come back and add in. Actually, maybe over here we'll do the allium and top it with some additional violas. Okay, the next thing I want to do is charge this earth with some fertilizer. I am currently out of compost and not going to the store anytime soon. And so I'll just add some of my plant tone fertilizer in. All right, so let's talk about the bulbs I have. These bulbs are from Walmart, and actually Walmart in our area still has a bunch, and you can get them for like $1.50, so they're really cheap. So I have Dutch iris, and this is just a mixed version, and I've planted this in the past, and it has a mix of purple, blue, white, and yellow iris, and I like Dutch iris specifically for cut flowers. They do not come back consistently in my area. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I feel like when they do come back, I only get about 75 to 80% that come back. And so if you don't replant them over the years, you'll eventually won't have any left. This particular variety is about 18 to 24 inches tall, which is perfect for what I want. I will probably might grab some more iris in the spring. Sometimes there tends to be some Dutch iris in the spring that are available for planting. Might do some more at that time. But I have 2 bags. They were $3.24 and they have 10 bulbs in each of them. These are all about a good size. I would say they're about the size of a quarter. Typically is where I see them. And then I'm also replanting a new variety of allium for me. This particular allium is called Purple Sensation, and it is about 28 to 32 inches tall. So that'll be fun. This one says it's full sun. The area I'm planting in it doesn't necessarily get full sun. It gets sun at the beginning of the day, and then in late afternoon, like the hottest part of afternoon into evening, it gets shade. And I feel like allium struggle with full sun in my area just because it's so stinking hot. And so I'm going to go with it on that direction, try it out. It's so technically a part shade, but mostly sun. Give it a try. Now, I've grown a couple other varieties of allium, some which have done well, some which have not. The best ones tend to be from the Aldi's. The bulbs allium that I get from Aldi's tend to do really, really well, and those have come back consistently for me. Other alliums have not, with the exception of drumstick allium, which does really, really well in my particular area. Okay, so a couple of things. The allium is going to be planted at about 4 to 6 inches deep For the Dutch iris, they're about 4 to 6 inches deep. When I am bulb planting, I typically like to use my Hori Hori knife. I think this works really, really great. This area right here used to have lots of liatris in it, and then the liatris just didn't bloom well this last year, so I pulled them all out and I've got them inside. I forgot to replant them. I don't know if they've dried out too much, but we're going to give them a try. I'm probably going to plant them in some grow bags or crates of some type, I think is what I'm going to do. So anyway, I'm going to be working in this area for the Dutch iris, mainly in this kind of little triangle portion right here. I have one hellebore called Fire and Ice. I did have one that was called Blushing Bride, but I left it in there, but I don't know if it's going to make it. I don't know if it's made it. And then I have a Cat's Pajamas Nepeta over here, which is doing really good. So I think I'm just going to really focus on the Dutch iris right here, and then I'm going to top them with viola. But let's go ahead and get the bulbs in first. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little kind of area. I'm just going to spread my bulbs out maybe 4 to 6 inches apart. Not much more than that. I like planting bulbs that are at least 4 inches deep because then I can go on top of them with the winter annuals, which I think works really, really good. Okay. And then basically I just take my knife, work it down to the earth, pull the earth down, and then tap it in. The pointy side goes up. In all fairness, if you point it upside down, it will correct the nature will correct itself. So this is all I end up doing, very easily tucking them in, no big deal. All right, that looks good. Let's look at the violas. Okay, so violas are one of my go-to winter annuals. I love them for their bold color. I love how petite and beautiful they are. Typically when I plant violas in my area, they end up being anywhere from 6 to 10 inches tall by spring, and they do beautifully in the spring. They just look so good. And these will probably last me into mid to late April, which is wonderful. It will hit hot weather in May. But this is one of the reasons I love planting them, is they last me so long. So here I am planting in December. I'll have them December, January, February, March, and April, which is really, really great for an annual in my area, considering we get really, really hot. So a lot of stuff doesn't hang around. But let's go ahead and get these spread out in this area. So when I'm placing bedding plants, I really like to remove the container before laying them out. I just feel like it makes my life easier. I don't think that that's something that I would do in the summer just because it is so hot. But this makes the whole process a lot easier by just going ahead and removing it. These are super wet. One cool thing about violas and pansies is they follow the sun. I don't know what the word is. I'll put it below. But basically all their little sunny flower faces will face the sun. They'll correct themselves. So it's really cool because if you are standing in the direction of the sun, it looks like they're looking at you. I think it's just so silly and so sweet and so fun. Okay, I'm going to start with these here, and then I might put a few more. All right, let's get these in. So just pull back the earth and pop these in. No big deal. These are already super wet, and my earth, we've had a lot of days of rain, so it's a good time to put all these in. If I run into a bulb, I'll just replant the bulb. Might be, yeah, it's soft enough for me to just use my hands. Okay, I'm looking at this space. So I've got the penny blue violas, and I want them to continue all through here, almost like a river of blue all the way across. Now, this is the area where I had all my heucheras that got moved. I've got a little bit of mum. That's from that mum, a little bit that I pulled up that has roots I'm going to plant over in this area to kind of grow this on. But now I'm kind of feeling like this area is really blank. I am going to put the allium here, but I think I'm also going to put some additional perennials that I have. So let me go grab those. Okay, so I've got 3 dianthus here. I don't know if I have the varieties in here or not. They're a really bold, beautiful pink. But I'm thinking about putting these here in this area. And then I've got a beautiful perennial that'll bloom in the spring, and this front here is where this is all muscari trying to come up already, which is insane to me. It's because we had some earlier cold snaps. But put these here, then come back, tuck in the allium and the violas around it, and I think this will go a long way to really fill in this space when we get to spring with a consistent for me, perennial. Dianthus is great as a cut flower. You can cut it back and it will continue to bloom and bloom. You can definitely still plant perennials in my zone through a lot of crazy temperatures. I kind of have the idea, like, as long as you give it a little bit of acclimation before some like really intense temperatures, and you make sure that they're very well watered, they'll probably do fine through the freeze as long as they're supposed to be for your particular zone. Do really need to come in here with some mulch, but I don't know if I will. Okay, I've got 5 of the allium bulbs. They look like garlic. And I think what I'm going to do is tuck some a little bit further back, almost like a little ring of them. I do like that. And these are planted about 4 to 6 inches deep. I like to go a little on the shorter side with mine, so I typically go about 4 inches deep for my allium. And I feel like that's because our temps don't get as cold for long, and so if the allium is closer to the surface, it's more likely to get colder temps than if it was tucked down further into the earth. Now when these start coming up in the spring, and I can't remember what they are, y'all tell me. Okay, let's plant some more violas. If you remember earlier in the fall, this is where I planted a bunch of foxglove transplants. Most of them are doing really good. I'm very excited about them. I actually think I'm going to start some additional foxglove this year, this winter, ready for spring. Okay, I gotta say, the mascara are driving me insane. So I'm going to trim them a little back a little bit. I don't know if this is what you're supposed to do or not, y'all. I think we had a earlier on cold spell, and then it warmed up, and they thought it was spring. So I don't really want them to bloom. I want them to bloom in the spring. We'll go ahead and cut them back, see if that helps out some. Okay, that makes things a little easier. Okay, I think it looks really nice. So we'll start on this side. So I've planted the 3 dianthus right there. Bright, beautiful, gorgeous fuchsia tones. Then we tucked in some of the allium, which will be beautiful purple blooms come late spring. Then we've got the violas almost in a drift back through the garden, past all of these beautiful foxglove that are going to look amazing in the spring. And ending up on this side, spilling out here, and these are on top of 20 Dutch iris bulbs in a mixed color palette of white, purple, blue, and yellow. I think it's going to look really nice. And these violas will maintain their color through the winter. I think they're absolutely beautiful. They're not going to grow any more than what they are right now because it's colder, but once it does start to warm up a touch, they will put on triple the amount of size that they are on right now and get to about anywhere from 6 to 10 inches tall. Okay, that was a good project. I feel good about it. Couple of things about violas in my area. They are very cold hardy. So I don't usually stress about them unless I've recently planted them. If I was expecting like a really drastic freeze in the next few days, I would have waited till after the freeze to plant these. I do want these maybe about 10 days to 2 weeks to establish before I do anything really hard. Now, if it's going to drop into just 32 and only for a couple of hours, I'm not really worried about that. They'll do fine. But I've also had violas and pansies in the historic winters we've had the last couple of years, and they've done absolutely fine. One thing to remember about them is if they look dead on top, that does not mean that they're dead on the bottom. A lot of times they just go dormant on the top and their root systems are fine below, and you'll get a new fresh a new flush of leaves and blooms come warmer weather. So just because yours don't maybe look like they're doing really well, leave them in there because you'll be surprised what they do in the spring. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's video. We are still gardening here at She's Mad Gardener. I am going to be doing a bunch of seeds coming up. We still have gardening projects in the shade garden. We have tulips, we have daffodils, we have a lot going on the month of December, and I'm really excited about it. Usually I just stop, and then what ends up happening in the new year is that everything becomes a rush and I don't get to enjoy it as much. So I decided I'm not going to put a hard stop in December. I'm going to garden as I like. I'm still going to utilize it for my moments of peace and joy during this busy, hectic holiday season. I do enjoy coming out here even when it's cold. I think I prefer the heat over the cold. I don't know. I don't know if I should say that out loud. I feel like I'm asking for it. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when my latest videos are up. And be sure to check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.